Hey,
What's going on, man?
how much? Just woke up.
That's
How you
funny.
doing?
I'm good. I've been up a little while working. I mean, I'm on the East Coast, so I didn't realize you were in Mountain Time. Um,
Yeah. So
that's funny. Cool. Hey, I just want to really thank you for doing this. I know. I'm glad you're here. That's awesome. Like, really glad you're here. Because I got questions for both of you. And so my whole point with this sort of thing is I'm actually trying to build a YouTube channel myself, and I mean, I'm not an outstanding athlete, so I don't have that going for me. But at least I can use what I do have, which is the ability to kind of speak intelligently, I guess, and
yeah,
hopefully do at least good interviews and media stuff. So that's kind of what my goal is a little bit. But uh, so hopefully this won't take more than like 30 minutes. I don't want to.
I might have to sneak out a little bit. I'm teaching a class this morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem. Then maybe I'll ask the questions I had for you up front. And I actually really I've been doing some LinkedIn stalking on you, and I realize that you have a really awesome background in marketing. So I kind of would love to be able to pick your brain a little bit. So really, I guess my first question, if we're gonna go that route, is how'd you guys meet anyway? Just out of curiosity.
So I moved to Boise about a year ago. I was recruited for the position
Yep.
VP marketing here, and it just was like the right time in my life. I'd been in New York for almost 10 years and was ready for a different pace. And my family's more on the West Coast, so I decided to take the leap and take the job. And 3 weeks later, I met this guy.
Oh wow. Okay. So it was more of a coincidence than anything, or
Yeah, no, we were both on our way to the Olympia. We were at the airport, and I didn't realize that he worked for the company also. And
oh,
we just
funny.
met.
So then, Jesse? How did you get the job there?
I started there like 4 years ago and started in CS. Applied. I mean, it's in Boise, so it's a good place to work, and just applied there. At the time, my uncle had been working there for a few months and kind of probably helped me. So that's how I got started.
Think it was probably not too long after that they discovered that he was pretty talented.
That's
Decided
funny.
to support him as
We
more of an athlete too.
we hired a ridiculously strong individual just out of a coincidence almost, I guess.
Yeah.
But so that kind of lends if you showed up there being hired by them that you were at least into somewhat bodybuilding in general.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, did that was the bodybuilding style like very influential in your training at all, or
Not necessarily. I mean, I've always just trained for strength training primarily, so just kind of bodybuilding.com, the supplement world, fitness industry has kind of got me started, like kind of interested. And then after working there for about a year, I decided I'd try a bodybuilding show and just see what happens.
how'd you do
And
at that?
Oh my gosh, he dieted for like 2 weeks.
yeah, I
And
mean,
he looked great.
oh yeah,
So
sure.
not
So
that great then, I guess.
I didn't take it as seriously as you should, but I
Sure.
just went out there to kind of get some experience. So after that, I incorporated more isolation type training into my program. So that's kind of how that all got worked in.
Right. So Candace, while I've got you here, I wanted to ask you about, if bodybuilding.com, I know you're the vice president of marketing, so you probably got a lot of inside information on your relationship with the bodybuilding.com relationship with USAPL, and how does bodybuilding.com perceive the, promotional aspect of the sport, and do you guys have a plan for USAPL, or is there anything you can kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, so it mostly falls in terms of the management of the relationship. It falls within my offline team. If you met Keith or Kirk at the event, both of
Yep.
them are. Keith is the director of my offline team, and Kirk is the head of my sponsorships group within that. And Kirk's been super passionate about bringing this to the forefront and just driving more awareness inside our walls, which has been great. We sponsor really kind of two main sports efforts outside of kind of like traditional bodybuilding, and it's really USAPL and strongman.
Uh huh.
We have a couple of like type related sponsorships, and then the rest are all cause marketing. So we're sort of narrowing our focus a little bit. I know that we intend to renew the relationship and begin to expand it in 2016.
Yeah.
I think really a year and a half that we've been kind of involved. The live streams are super easy for us to manage. We love being at the event physically. This past event, I know a lot of the other events are smaller, but we just had a great time being there and meeting the athletes. And it's interesting because we show up at bodybuilding shows all the time, and we are prepared to hand out all kinds of free things, and people just want to take. But this audience was so different. I mean, they were so grateful and almost shocked that we were giving things away for free. So with us, it's really about taking care of the athletes, and we want to be there and do whatever we can to make the athletes feel loved and appreciated and supported. And so that's typically why we prepare those athlete bags and obviously all the prize packs and those things. For us, it's like, let's support every athlete across the board. We've been toying around with the idea next year of really expanding our sponsorships and even on the bodybuilding side, kind of cutting out the middleman, so to say, and just allowing athletes to come to us directly and kind of help them prepare for whatever sport they want to engage in.
That's awesome. I came from a CrossFit community before this, and I found very much the same vibe that you're talking about, the give. Hey, we want to support the athletes as much as possible. You know, it maybe you've gotten away from a little bit from that, but I've definitely rekindled that in the USAPL community, and it's like you're talking to humans. I can't even imagine, some of the people that I've met, really kind of off-putting and like a little bit of egotism, but I have yet to really meet any single one individual that has rubbed me the wrong way in USAPL. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I think on the supplement side of the house, if there's anything that we can do, and we're constantly working on our content and the way that we educate our customers on sports nutrition in general. So I think there's a lot that we could do in terms of building the right content for this community and letting them know, what content or what supplements meet the right standards in terms of testing and just athletic boards in general. So I'd love for us to be able to get that type of content out there just so people know what they're doing and know what's safe.
Well, it seems like you've got, the face of the soon-to-be face of the USAPL right there next to you too. So it's like, does he play into your marketing strategy at all?
It's funny because obviously my team had decided to support Jesse before him and I even met, and I tried to kind of stay removed a little bit from the discussions that they have, just so there's no conflict of interest. Obviously, I'm his number one fan, so I would love for that to happen. Yeah. I love him rocking the big B on his singlet, but it's totally a discussion between him, and I leave it to Keith and Kirk. So
that's fair. It's I guess
it's personal brand. That's
I
can do that outside of work.
That's awesome. I think that's really sick. So I know. So Jesse, really, before you kind of dabbled in other federations a little bit, I think, right? Have you done other meets other than USAPL?
Yeah. So I think my first meet outside of the USAPL was Rum.
Yep.
Rum 7, and then after that I tried the USP a little bit. I did LA Fit Expo and deadlift only at Olympia. So that's really only I've done outside the USAPL.
Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the conflict that caused, if any, or did you even realize it at the time?
I didn't necessarily realize it or too concerned, just because I was all in national competitions at the time.
Yeah.
So, but as far as right now, definitely plays a role as far as what people, I guess, would look at me and how maybe you drug abuse because these other federations don't test. So a lot of people perceive that as, oh, he's on something. So that's why he's not in the USAPL anymore.
Sure. Yeah, I mean I'm active military. I'm an officer. I'm constantly having to manage perception myself, so I fully appreciate that. You're never going to get away from the perception, and it's just.
You have to some of these decisions have been like bodybuilding is going to be there and have a presence there, and so we've invited him to come and be there on our behalf, right? So
Yeah.
I think he kind of, I don't want to say is thinking through the politics, but like that's just his like ammo, you know. He's not the guy who's like going to get involved in that, in any kind of drama or try to spark drama in any way. So I think he just loves to do his thing, and we've given him an opportunity to do it, so he's done it.
Yep, I firmly believe it shouldn't even, the athletes should never be concerned about that. Especially they should only be concerned about one thing: training and competing. You know, so I'd love to see as much of a unified powerlifting community as possible. I think that's probably the only good thing for the sport. But so let's see here. So I don't want to rehash what you guys did with Mark Bell. I know he got you guys a lot of good questions about your training. So I really want to kind of talk about your performance at Nationals a little bit. So I saw you talked about rehabbed a little bit in your blog a little bit. Not a great day for you. I fully appreciate that.
And I see it hit these amazing numbers like it's nothing, and I do think he just pushes himself so hard all the time that maybe he was just a little tired.
So that's one thing I was thinking about a lot was training up to Nationals. Obviously, I didn't perform the way I wanted to.
Yeah.
But this time around in training, I had peaked basically these higher percentage lifts for about 6 weeks in a row, where I usually only hit them for 3 or 4 weeks. So I think that really just took a toll on my body and maybe my nervous system, and I was just totally fatigued going into the meet and didn't have enough recovery. So that might have sparked it, and then there's obviously some calls on squat, which sparked a lot of drama on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about the depth calls itself as I was sitting next to Susie Gary, and I know she came up and talked to you afterwards about this probably, but we both kind of thought your attempt selection was a little aggressive. Was that you think out of the question, or?
That wasn't a question. It was, I probably could have opened more. I could have probably opened at 700 and then gone to 733. It was likely the jump in between that maybe kind of just shocked my body.
Yeah.
Going from 680 or whatever to 7, but we opened at 683 because it was a light squat, something I could have no question with whether I was going to get it or not. And then the last thing was just making sure I went and hit the depth. So that was the biggest thing, was being able to hit proper depth and then come back up with it, no problem. So
do you think that you going into that particular attempt, you were thinking maybe, hey, I know I'm going to crush this, I'm just going to bury it, and then maybe on my second and third try and be as efficient as possible with depth?
Yeah, no, so definitely my first one was as buried as I probably could have gone even deeper if I wanted to, but just so many times in training, I have this certain routine, where my arms are so close in, so as soon as I feel my thigh basically rub up on, my elbow or whatever, usually that's going to mean it's depth, because I watch videos and do a lot of, just kind of feedback there, critiquing, and so my second squat at 733 should have been easier, but I don't think I hit proper depth. I think that one was a little questionable. I probably could have sat back and do it a little more. So I definitely could understand the call on my second. The third one, however, I do feel like, I wanted to take it again, obviously, so I could get the lift and not proceed to move up. So I definitely feel like that one was good in my opinion, and it should have it was a clean squat to me. If I would have taken that same kind of squat, took in my third, and did it that same way on my second, I feel like maybe they would have judged me differently, and then I could have proceeded to 760 or something on my squat.
Yeah, that would have been I guess a 45-pound PR if you had hit 760.
I've hit 750 in Idaho State last November. So
right.
It would have been a 10-pound PR. I mean, I hit 725 for a double training up to this. So.
Yeah, I've got some individual photos. I was sitting right there on the floor right in front of you, and I got 2 really good shots of your bottom position. I definitely would agree with your assessment on the second one. It might have been a little high, and then the third one was, I think it was right there, to be honest, just in what I saw. Now, there's a lot of people, the internet haters out there, are going to be like, hey, it was unquestionably deep. And I'm just like, well, you're not the judge. You don't have to make that call. And it's a tough call to make either way. Yeah. I'm sure that debate will be around forever. But the bottom line is you won the event. You crushed everybody handily. And you're going to Worlds. So.
Yeah. We moved forward like the next day.
Your dog agrees too.
Yeah, I'm not worried about, what calls were made. It was just some, it seemed kind of like, I don't know, political in my opinion. Some of the feedback I had gotten I gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of different people, but one of the judges in particular, I'm not going to, say his name or whatever, but he gave me some feedback. So after hearing his thoughts, it's interesting. But either way, I'm going to go to Worlds and obviously train a little differently and make sure my depth is no question. So
just represent really well. I mean, I think he really wants to be an ambassador of the USAPL. I mean, the feedback, it's crazy. We started his YouTube channel just the week before the meet. And obviously, Mark Bell launched his interview that same week too.
Yeah, that's very strategic of him.
So we've been just monitoring kind of all the comments, and oh my gosh, I think Jesse's literally the least hated guy on YouTube. Everyone loves him. He gets no dislikes.
I've absolutely noticed that too, and I've watched all your vlogs, and they're all great. So I would say keep up what you're doing for sure.
The comments are really supportive. The comments are basically like people saying that he is the best ambassador for the sport. And to be so humble and to have handled the situation the way he did, people have a lot of respect for him. I mean, I know I was really proud of him. I wanted to be frustrated too, but he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go and do it again. That's all I can do. Just go do it again and do it better.
And it's something to be said. Not just that, but you're younger than I was. Like. You're 22. I mean, that's not something I would expect from a 22-year-old. I'd say that's admirable in of itself to have that maturity at that age. I think that's huge. So that definitely speaks well for kind of a long legacy of being a great ambassador for the federation and the sport in general.
Yeah. Well, all I can say is I appreciate that.
Nice. Well, I'm calling it like it is, man.
It's definitely ideal to be, more of an ambassador. Obviously, I want to see the sport grow and just kind of put out what I do for all the weightlifters out there and help them out. So
yeah.
All the young guys were so cool. Just coming up to him like throughout the whole weekend, just talking to him, and I guess not realizing that he's just a normal dude.
Yeah, I never really got the sense that you were anything but that, like a normal guy. And I don't know what they're talking about saying you're slow at all. I don't think you're slow. I think your wheels are turning just fine, just from talking to you.
I appreciate the fact that he talks slow because I talk 1,000,000 miles a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just laid back. That's how I.
You're. If I had to put something on you, I would say you're kind of like the special forces operator sitting in the corner of the room, just kind of assessing the situation. like I said, the wheels are already always turning. You got that situational awareness. I've seen plenty of guys that kind of have that. That's kind of the way they carry themselves. So, shit, it's obvious to me. I don't know why it's not obvious to everybody else.
I wanted to make sure I said bye, and this is my.
Hi, Miley.
Miley.
Hey, good. Thank you for.
My favorite person in the entire world. She has separation anxiety whenever Jessica's not around.
That's funny. That's funny.
But it was so nice to talk with you. And if you need anything else, let us know.
Yeah, I do. I want to pick your brain at some point. I don't know if that means another Skype interview or what, but I would love. I've got other questions for you that I'd almost like to take offline.
Yeah, totally. And Jesse can give you my email and things like that. So whatever you need. Thanks so much for everything. And I can see all the photos.
Oh yeah, have you seen them?
No, I haven't seen them.
They're online. They're on Facebook.
Will you shoot him a link?
I will.
I'll have to find Facebook. I'm not on there very much anymore. So.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, that's probably why. That's okay. Because I tagged you on Instagram on that one, and
okay, yeah, I think I saw the one.
There's a lot more.
Responding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
good. Thanks for thanks.
Thank you.
So you talked about your squat. Bench was. I actually didn't get to see your bench. I got to see one of your benches, and I mean,
yeah.
How did that go?
I honestly don't know what happened with my bench. All right, calm down. So obviously I opened up 402, which was supposed to be relatively easy.
Yeah.
I've tripled that, so it's a good opener. But getting on the bench, it moved so slow. I don't know what happened, and then we went to 414. That one was quick, shot off my chest, so I don't know. I think a lot of it was technique. I kind of missed my groove on the first. The second, I feel like my groove was very, very good, and then the third, we went 424, which I've also singled in the gym before, and was relatively, easy. I think I would be right there, middle 430, 435, where I thought I was going to be. And, so that third attempt came off my chest fast, and then I misgrooved it, and it went, straight out above my chest instead of up towards the eyes, and I got stuck there right at the lockout. So that's what happened on
that
the
sucks.
bench.
Yeah, because I only saw your second bench. Do you find that bench has been your slowest moving lift?
Yeah, I mean, at times for sure. Sometimes I can really train it hard and everything goes well, and other times I just don't know what happens. No problem. I was just saying, bench is on the same day, so I get a relative idea of how my bench is going to go, after squats and a meet.
Yeah.
And much of it fatigue from the squat. I squat with my hands very narrow, and a lot of that weight falls into my shoulders.
Right.
So going into a bench after the squats, I guess just kind of depends how I've prepared myself, but felt like training was really well. I thought I was going to be right there where I was at, and obviously it's definitely my slowest moving lift. So definitely need to figure out some different things, try out some different routines or something. But
I think, my experience with bench has been you constantly have to be changing what you're doing in order to progress. And it's also I think it's the most technical lift because there's so many different points of contact and points of movement that you have to address. Yeah. I mean, and there's subtle things like leg drive that can dramatically impact, if they're even slightly off. So,
yeah, definitely a lot of movement. You get the shoulder, elbow, the wrist, and then whatever's happening with your chest. But leg drive, as you mentioned. So usually there's a lot of change up going in my bench routine, but I also still do a lot of volume. So I don't know if I need to just work with heavier weights more often or more frequently because usually I'm between 70 and 85%, and not very often I go above that.
So I found, like, for me, I found my bench responds really well to overload and like using a slingshot, and
yeah,
that's been huge.
yeah. I only used it once, and I've actually decided that I'm actually going to start doing some overload training with, like, just doing 405 for reps with it on, or even going like 450 just for singles or doubles. So I'm actually going to incorporate that.
Yeah, that's I like I said, I found that to be super effective. And actually, this kind of is a good lead into another question. You have a pretty long history with IPF, doing equip lifting, and so do you think that coming over to Raw, kind of as a crossover athlete, do you think that had a huge transfer to Raw lifting?
It's definitely a tough call. I mean, in ways, I definitely got to feel out, what heavier weights felt like at the time. I obviously was squatting with 700 and, benching with 400, on the pretty often. So I definitely helped with my squats and bench. My deads not so much, just because the suit never really helped on the deadlift. But it's besides the point. But coming into Raw after that, obviously I didn't have the same, support. So obviously I squatted 727, and then I went out and squatted 585 Raw right after. But definitely feeling the weight on my back and being able to walk out the weight was much easier going from equipped to Raw. But obviously I had to train a lot of my core, and a lot of stabilization muscles had to be, trained up basically to get where I am. So there is some transfer, and then in other ways not so much. So.
Right. But it's all kind of in how you train anyway, I think.
Yeah.
So your deadlift at the meet, obviously definitely not what you wanted to hit. I know you were looking to pull well over 800.
Yeah. I think that the deadlift stuff goes all into my training, high percentages for the 6 weeks back to back. Very fatigued going in. I didn't pull 775 going into the meet, and so training was not there. I was very fatigued from heavy squats, and I did a lot of stuff. I did 725 for triples on deadlifts leading up, and then after that, my body was pretty much shot. So that's primarily what affected the dead. I think 804 should have been there, but I think we played it relatively safe. Joey Franzo was helping.
Yep.
So he coached me up in the meet, and so we opened lighter than I usually do. We opened 733. Normally I'll open around 750, and then we jumped from there to 777, which I was like, I can pull that. I'm going to pull that no matter what. Even if I have to take it on my third, I'm going to get that. And so pulled it on my second. It felt pretty good. So I definitely thought 804 was there, and then just was not the case. As soon as it got stuck right above my knees, I don't know.
It happens.
It happens.
It happens. So it's funny. I was having a conversation with Mike Touchier over dinner a couple nights into the meet, and we were talking about volume and how if you drop your volume too much, or we kind of end up peaking a little too early. Do you think that might have been the case with this?
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I mean, I was peaking on my lifts for so long, and I think my 4th or 3rd week in on my deadlifts felt the greatest, and then after that it was kind of all downhill. So I definitely peaked way too soon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think, and you I know you mentioned in the blog you were going to go back and look at your training leading up to the Idaho meet where you totaled 2015, and it's almost like you can replicate that maybe almost exactly and kind of produce the same effect, provided you can account for your nutrition and and sleep and whatnot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's the hopes anyway. Obviously, there might be some tweaks in training. So obviously, I'd like to do better than 2015, but I'm going to replicate basically the volume and percentages leading up, and then during that state meet, I only peaked 4 weeks, and it worked out perfectly. So
yeah. So let's see. So you talked about your core training a little bit, switching from IPF to Raw. What kind of things did you do? What kind of exercises do you typically do for core training, like that are not the primary movements?
Well, so I wouldn't say I really do anything outside of the core movements, but I mean I've incorporated some strongman exercises such as farmer carries and the yoke walk and a little bit of like Conan's. Well, it's really just lifting up, like locking out position in a squat almost, or the lockout position in a deadlift, and you're basically holding X amount of weight and moving around with it. So you obviously have to keep your core tight and be very, have all your stabilization muscles there. Otherwise, you're just pretty much going to fall over. Yoke walks help tremendously on the squat. I've walked over 1,000 pounds on the yoke.
Wow.
So having that kind of weight on my core and then getting under a squat, and just the weight, it feels like nothing on my back. And then you get so much more confidence going into that lift when the weight feels light. So that definitely helps. Farmer carries, builds basically your lockout on the deadlift and that upper back tightness and strength, for the deadlift.
Yep.
The rest can be built on just deadlifting or whatever else you might do. I also do leg press, but that's just kind of.
I've heard a couple people say that leg press is almost more transferable to deadlift than it would be to even squatting. And I'm guessing because it's similar movement.
I feel like it, for me, it obviously hits the quads, but it targets the hamstring and glute drive almost.
Right.
It just kind of depends on, I guess, your stance when you're doing the leg press, is my opinion on that. So, but where my stance is at, it definitely feels more like a deadlift.
Yeah.
So. And then besides those movements, it's just really just working without a belt. That helps tremendously, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So let's talk a little about your training and how you kind of take on you've started online coaching. So can you kind of go through a little bit what you do when you typically take on a new client?
So new clients. Basically, they're just going to fall under my same programming because that's what I feel comfortable with, and that's what I know. So they're going to fall in the same programming as me. I'm going to shoot them basically what they need to do day by day, week by week. So they're going to have all that information, and then basically we're just going to monitor how their body is responding to the high volume and the high reps, and if the weight's feeling easy, it's pretty simple on how I figure out what they need to do. It's just like, does it feel easy? Does it not feel easy? And basically, I'll adjust the weights for them from there. And we'll converse via email. I'm going to start probably doing some Skype calls for guys that are really struggling with technique and things like that. But yeah, I'll watch how their training's going with volume, and then we'll talk about technique. They'll shoot me videos, tag me on Instagram or whatever, so I'll help them with technique and what I see they can work on form-wise. Obviously in the squats there's a lot to be usually worked on. It's mostly considered depth and maybe sometimes bar placement, but that's really what it is. I mean, I feel like it's a fair price for what I give them.
Yeah.
It's basically a 12-week program, so I'm their contact for 3 months, and they can ask me whatever they want. And, I'm going to help them in the best way, in my opinion. So that's rundown on kind of what you get and what you pay for. So, and then after that, they can use the program I've created for them again, or take what they liked from it and incorporate it into whatever else. And a lot of guys, after their programming, have really said have just built up their work capacity. Obviously, they see strength increase, which is awesome, and also they think, well, a couple guys have got better physiques just from the high volume. So, look good, be stronger, and obviously be able to do more after working with me. So I feel like that's a success all in itself. So
yeah, that's awesome. It's really kind of about the results then. That's sweet. Because I find that a lot of people forget that they want to either make themselves feel better, and then they just kind of lose sight of the results, So let's see what else. This has been awesome, by the way. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, of course. I wasn't doing anything else this morning, so why not?
Yeah, we chat about powerlifting and training and stuff.
Yeah. You're awesome to talk to. I didn't get to talk to you very much, but you seem very...
Dude, I was running around like a madman. Oh my... Dude, hey, so most people don't realize this, but, so I've been on night shift for the last, 3 months. I've been working, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I, that weekend was my transition back to days. So when I showed up on Thursday, afternoon, I was 30 hours with no sleep already. So, and then by the end of Saturday, I was getting sick. I got this head cold. And so I'm just, I don't know if you guys have got sick at all, but I was totally miserable Saturday, Sunday. It was awful. I was just...
probably that lack of no sleep, man, just cut your immune system. And
yeah. It did. I'm almost back to normal now, but man, I was freaking miserable for a good couple days there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, luckily we didn't get sick, but I felt like something was starting to come on, and it just never took full effect, I guess. So
yeah.
That was,
There's just, it was freaking thousands of people in there. So you could almost assume that you would catch something.
Someone getting sick.
Yeah. No, I talked to a few people. I talked to Chad Smith, and he said that he was sick coming there, and I was just like, so you're the reason, right? You're the reason I'm sick. Right. Thanks. I had a good conversation with him at the airport. It was kind of funny.
Right.
But,
he's cool, dude.
Yeah, he's
talked to him too much. But.
Yeah, he's good to chat with. Oh man, let's see here. Oh, so favorite accessory movement for squat, bench, and deadlift.
That's tough. Accessory movement. I'd have to just put 2 accessories. I guess one kind of works both. I like doing tire flips.
Oh wow.
Heavy tire flips. Obviously for deadlifts, you're getting the hip drive. And that's going to transfer to squats as well. And then you obviously got to throw that tire so you get some some speed work off the chest, I suppose. So kind of works, both movements in one, and that's definitely a fun accessory. It's a different exercise, but if you do them heavy enough, it's going to transfer over into your core lifts, in my opinion.
That's awesome. I've never heard anybody say that before. That's pretty unique, I would think. I don't know
if you're asking what single exercise for each or just one exercise for all 3.
That sounds like it would hit all 3, to be honest.
Works all 3. So, but if you're asking independently, again, tire flips for deadlift, yoke for the squat, and for bench press, man, I don't really do. Obviously I do a lot of isolation work, but trying to think what else. I guess log press.
Okay, so an overhead.
Variations for the lifts, so those would be independent kind of accessory movements I would do for each of those. So
Yeah, I can see that. It's basically your shoulders and overhead work.
yeah, shoulders, triceps. Doesn't really hit your chest too much, but I also don't have a lot of problems with the bar coming off my chest. So
Right. Sweet. So what's your next big event? Are you still doing the Reebok Record Breakers?
so yeah, Reebok Record Breakers is in. I've confirmed that it's not supposed to be international. So just trying to consider, the IPF and their rules. It's not international. It's not any kind of qualifier. So no banned lifters show up. It should be in the clear.
That's good.
It's kind of hard too because I made my commitment months ago, or about a month ago, before I got invited to Worlds. So I try to stay on top of my commitments and do the best I can. So I'm gonna go do that, have fun with it, and then after that I'll be training for the Worlds. So I got 8 months.
Nice. Are they? So Arnold Sports Festival. You're not planning on doing that, are you? Or are they going to have you? Is the cage going to try and get you to come out and do that? The cage
I
again.
haven't got invited to the cage yet, so they may or may not invite me. I really don't know about it this year. I've traveled there the last 4 years, and doing the cage and stuff. It's just so many people. Obviously, it'd be cool to go out there and kind of meet some more fans and talk to some different people, but it usually just cuts into my training cycles, so it doesn't always work out the best for me.
Right.
So,
you could probably come in and instead of pulling 850 or whatever, you could just pull some ridiculous amount of weight for reps. I guess what you said, 675 for 6 or 8 or something.
Yeah, I usually do it for 6, so maybe on a good day I could try and end it for 8 to 10.
Yeah.
Who knows? So yeah, we could definitely do something like that. So,
but that doesn't the USAPL doesn't. Well, I know they came and drug tested you 1 year while you're at the cage.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so I suppose they could at any time. I was a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually drug tested a week before the meet.
Oh, funny.
And then after I lifted, but that's kind of besides the point. I'm sure they'll be there. I'll probably get drug tested if I go. I wouldn't be surprised. But I'm probably not going to do the Arnold powerlifting meet itself. So
I would assume you did get an invitation, though. Those invites did go out.
I did get an invitation, yeah. So, but I won't be going. I don't think, unless I change my mind, which doesn't sound appealing right now. So
fair enough. I mean, you've been pretty busy, I guess. So
yeah, I've been busy. It's definitely really. I mean, for me, it's hard to hit more than 2 meets a year. It just takes a toll on your body, and just trying to train correctly leading up to the meet. It's so difficult for me. It might. I mean, not trying to sound cocky or anything like that, but in kind of where I'm at as far as my strength levels to obviously my size, I think I'm right there at the edge of probably what my body is able to do. So it's very hard to go into a meet and peak or PR. So
yeah, I mean, well, you seem to be less of an emotional lifter and more of a kind of an introspective type. You don't really get all very worked up at all.
No, I mean, there's definitely some emotion into it. Years leading up to this, there's a lot of, I guess it'd be more, negative emotion, just coming from some of the things I dealt with in my past. But leading up to it, I just kind of realized, there's nothing you can do the day of, whether it's trying to psych yourself out or people are, screaming, yelling, telling themselves whatever and getting psyched up about their lift. And I've realized it's just not going to help. You've done everything in training leading up to it, and that's all you could have done. So you're either going to hit it or you're not.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. Obviously, there's some adrenaline from the crowd and stuff like that, which might help, but that's just kind of how I look at it.
I mean, if you've taken care of everything in training, then all that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah.
So let's see. Did you actually go to college? This is kind of an offline question. Did you go to college?
Did not go to college. I graduated in 2011, and then I started working at bodybuilding.com right after. The only kind of things I've done outside of school, I did some volunteer firefighting in 2012, 2013. So, got some experience with that. Got some different certifications. Obviously, they're irrelevant unless I wanted to go firefight. So,
sure. Well, I mean, that's a profession in of itself, so it's definitely respectable for sure.
Yeah. I haven't figured out what I've obviously loved fitness and wanted to do something, with powerlifting, and it's so hard because there's just nothing out there that is going to pay you well enough to kind of live off of in powerlifting. So it's kind of like figuring out what else I want to do, and that's going to kind of work well with lifting. So working on it. I don't know if I'm going to go to school or not. It's kind of been a debate, and I've been talking about it recently. And I guess I've been really interested in mechanical engineering and things like that. So if I did go to school, that's probably what I'd be going for.
Right, as evidenced by your truck. So
yeah, I'm just really me personally. I'm just interested in how things work. I love learning about just kind of see everything work as it does, and I kind of like to know what happens in the background and what's going on. So
yeah,
that's my perspective, I suppose. So.
Yeah, don't do what I did. Don't go into computer engineering. That's a painful major.
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's great on the outside. I mean, you get paid a lot of money doing it, and actually, I mean, you can get paid a lot of money doing mechanical engineering, but man, computer engineering is so painful.
Yeah, I can imagine, but it's going to be a growing field. I could expect with all the technology these days. So.
It is. It really is, and that's kind of the damning thing of it is like I've done it, for so long, and now I'm gonna get out and try and not do anything to do with it, which is like almost sacrificing your earning potential right off the bat.
That's tough. Well, you gotta do what you love. So.
You do, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life, right? So. Well, hey man, I don't want to keep you. I don't want to hold you up here, dude. Seriously, thank you so much for your time and sitting down to chat with me.
It's been good.
Yeah. And I'll make sure I send you the link to the photos, man, because they're on social media. So
that's what people were saying. Kandace is like, photos are up. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I've kind of just been in the shadows, I guess. I don't know
funny.
What's happened.
Yeah. I mean, I sent them out. I got a ton of great shots. Just any feedback you can give me would be great too on that.
Yeah, of course. So I'll have to find out what you do with this art design.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you check out my website, go to photoreactive.net. There's some good stuff.
I've seen a few photos, so I can kind of imagine what you're gonna do with that. So
yeah, we'll see. Bryce Lewis had the most epic celebration on his final deadlift, and that's going to turn into a ridiculous poster. It's just going to be amazing. I can already see what I'm going to do with it. Yeah. It's like it's already there. It just needs to be done.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I saw his reaction after he got off the platform. He was so psyched. It was really cool.
He's a very introspective lifter, but he's super emotional when it comes to achievement and
Yeah.
whatnot. It's like, you know that this guy works super hard for everything that he does, and he just like pours his heart into it. So
Yeah.
it's really fun to watch. He's a super fun lifter to watch.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks again, man.
Yeah, of course. You're welcome. It was good talking to you again.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll chat again after maybe Reebok record breakers or leading up to Worlds or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Sweet. Have a good Saturday.
All right, man. You have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you later.
Later.
All right.